Welcome to the Three Martini Lunch. Grab a stool next to Greg Columbus of Radio America and Jim Garrity of National Review. Three Martinis coming up.
It's the 1st of February. I know tomorrow is Groundhog Day, Jim, but it might seem like Groundhog Day today because once again, we have 3 good martinis. We just did that not that long ago, late last week, I think, and we have 3 good martinis today. Now, some of it is evaluating the Biden administration and the fact that they're getting some scrutiny, but nonetheless, that's good news because usually the press is pretty compliant with a left-leaning administration, regardless of the competence of that administration. But the media, to its credit, called them out pretty extensively when it came time for the debacle in Afghanistan and the chaotic withdrawal. In fact, that's the last time I think you and I talked about State Department spokesman Ned Price, Jim, and he's back. So it's not a good martini for Ned Price, but it is for the rest of us, and it is for Associated Press reporter Matt Lee, who asks good questions and he doesn't take non-answers. He follows up, and so it makes him one of the more fun reporters to watch. Interrogates State Department officials over time. But here's an extended clip. Yesterday, Ned Price was crowing about the fact that the U.S. once again made the case at the United Nations and the United Nations Security Council about how Russia needs to be prevented from invading Ukraine. And so Matt Lee had a very simple question. Hey, did that meeting actually accomplish anything? And Ned Price's spin machine was going, and Matt Lee not having any of it.
When you say that the Security Council takes the lead in determining the existence of a threat to international peace and security, did the Security Council actually do anything?
Matt, this was not about a resolution. It was not about a vote. This was about an exposition of the facts.
And hasn't there been expositions after expositions after expositions
Matt,
of this going back months now? You yourself get up here every single day and talk about, or whenever you get up here, and say, I mean, just when you're briefing, you get up here and you talk about the G7, you talk about the EU, you talk about NATO, you talk about, any number of international fora that where this stuff has actually come out and been agreed on.
Matt, we are not going to apologize for engaging in robust diplomacy, for bringing this to every conceivable fora and appropriate fora, and for continuing to be transparent with our concerns. If the criticism is that we are engaging too robustly in diplomacy, that we're being too transparent, that we're being too consistent in what we're saying, that is criticism that we will accept if that's a criticism you want to lodge.
Well, I'm not criticizing at all. I'm just curious as to when you say the world is united in opposing Russian aggression, and you say that because of what happened in the Security Council today, then that's just flat wrong, because the world isn't united. There were 2 members of the council that veto-wielding members of the council that didn't even want to have this meeting in the first place.
Matt Lee is where Ned Price's talking points go to die, Jim. So, it's good to make the case. You need to make the case if you think it's really important for the United Nations to act. But, of course, the United Nations is good at posturing more than it is at actually doing stuff. And it appears that when it comes to actually accomplishing anything, it's still lacking, and the Biden administration is struggling to explain the difference.
Greg, I will begin with an uncharacteristic note of sympathy for Ned Price in the sense that he's got one of the toughest jobs in Washington. He's got to go out there, not every day, as Lee points out, but, several times a week, and act like the Biden foreign policy is working. And he's got to try to convince people that the Biden foreign policy is working. And maybe you can point to a success here or a success there, but Biden shows up for the summits and he doesn't fight with them quite the way Trump does, and everybody smiles for the cameras, and it all seems to go nicely. But as Lee puts his finger on it, not much seems to happen. And when Ned Price says, the world is united against Russia invading Ukraine, they're united that they don't want to see it happen, other than Russia and China. They're not united on what they're willing to do about it. And they're not united on what they're willing to do to deter it. And that is why we are in the situation we're in. And so it really just feels like spinning the wheels. I don't want to quote Team America World Police, but basically, Hans Blix, not Hans Bricks, as we remember the dialogue, says, if you don't stop doing this about the North Korean nuclear program, we will send you another letter telling you to stop it. And, Kim Jong Un or is it Kim Jong-il?
It's Kim Jong-il at that point.
Kim Jong-il, yes. Kind of scoffs and laughs, and eventually poor little Hans Brick's puppet gets eaten by a little shark. But the gist being that in the end, international institutions are not really all that effective at deterring aggressive authoritarian states who want to make territorial advances. I don't begrudge the Biden administration for trying, but I do think they had unrealistic, expectations of what it was going to do. And every day, Ned Price has got to go out there and polish a turd and kind of act like, oh, this is a big deal. The UN is, strongly opposing. Well, what's it going to do? Vladimir Putin doesn't fear international condemnation. Otherwise, he wouldn't be killing people with polonium, right? And then, he's done this in Georgia. He did this in Crimea. The idea that, international condemnation, come on. So good for Matt Lee for calling this out. And I think this is a further reflection. This is the downside of this good martini, that the Biden administration walked into the job of the presidency in the White House and thought the job was going to be easy, thought that all they have to do is not be Donald Trump. And lo and behold, the job is a whole lot harder than it looks from the campaign trail.
Sure is. Now, Jim, didn't you just say a moment ago that the point of the UN is to make sure that authoritarian regimes do not succeed in aggressive territorial expansion? Isn't that their whole job, the whole reason they were created?
I mean, that and really nice cocktail parties. Also so that people from everywhere in the world can live in New York City and not have to pay parking tickets.
We all know their real job is to harass Israel and to coddle tyrannical regimes. So on that note, they're doing pretty well, I guess. Anyway, let's move on to talk about a couple other things quickly. First of all, if you notice, Jim's slightly under the weather, but he does not have COVID. So I know your sympathy factor, Jim and I were just talking about this, kind of cratered. You were initially concerned, and now that it's not COVID, nobody seems to care anymore, right, Jim?
I'm so disappointed. I mean, I guess, yeah, okay, I'm counting my blessings. It's good, and all that stuff. But I'm vaxxed, I'm boosted. And it seems like everybody else has gotten it. And, if you get it and it's not that bad, you allegedly get super immunity. And I think you get superpowers. I think that's one of the things that I read online. And no, it's not happening for me. I took an instant test this morning. It's just a winter cold. Boring.
Well, whether it's a COVID case or whether it's a normal winter cold, best way to deal with it, get enough rest, have some liquids, eat well. But when it comes to that rest, get it with MyPillow products. Have a MyPillow, have your Giza Dream Sheets. When you take one of those nice warm showers, have the towels, walk around in the slippers. And right now you can get a phenomenal deal on the Giza Dream Sheets, which I absolutely love. By far our favorite set of sheets. And you'll never want to sleep on anything else ever again once you've tried these things. And for a limited time, you can get 60% off any set of the Giza Dream Sheets with a price as low as $39.99. But to do that, you have to use our code MARTINI at MyPillow.com.
The Giza Dream Sheets are made from the world's best cotton, grown only in a region between the Sahara Desert, the Mediterranean Sea, and the Nile River. The long staple cotton makes these sheets ultra soft and breathable. They have a sateen weave, which gives a luxurious finish. These sheets are available in a variety of colors and sizes. They're machine washable, and they come with a 60-day money-back guarantee and a 1-year limited warranty. Now, these sheets come with a 4-inch hem on flat sheet and pillowcases, and each fitted sheet comes with a fully enclosed elastic hem with deep pockets.
Right now, save 60% on the Giza Dream Sheets flash sale. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listeners square, and use the promo code MARTINI at checkout. Or use that code when you call 800-874-0104 to get the Giza Dream Sheets for as low as $39.99. You'll also find deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the MyPillow mattress topper, MyPillow towel sets, and so much more. These will be gone in a flash. I mean, a deal like this, they're not going to last long. So head to MyPillow.com, promo code MARTINI, or call 800-874-0104. Sleep better with MyPillow.com. All right, Jim, let's move on to our second piece of good news, our second good martini, and it's a double shot when it comes to COVID. We've hit our peak with the Omicron variant, and it is on its way down. The drop in hospitalizations, the drop in case numbers, quite precipitous. It's the same thing we saw in South Africa, and we've seen in other places in the country and around the world that have seen this. It's a really intense rise and then a pretty steep drop-off as well. So hopefully we're on our way out with this particular variant. We're also seeing polling showing that 70% of Americans said yes to the following question. Do you tend to agree or disagree with the following statement? Is it time we accept that COVID is here to stay and we just need to get on with our lives? 70% say yes, 28% no. I'm guessing different people will have different ideas about what getting back to normal is. I think pre-lockdown. Other people may not. But Jim, people are coming to the fact that we're going to have to just deal with this going forward, and lockdowns and mandates and that sort of thing are not the path forward. Just moving on is probably going to be the best policy here.
Greg, today in the Morning Jolt, I tried to, what's the status of the Omicron wave? Because everybody said, well, this is a really, really contagious variant, which means that the cases are going to increase really fast. But after everybody gets it, the virus has nowhere else to go, and the cases will decline really, really fast. And you probably heard a lot of dire coverage in late December and January, and cases were increasing really, really fast. The average daily number of new cases of COVID-19 reported nationwide declined 42% in the past 2 weeks. Now, have you heard about that as much as you heard about the increase? I think not nearly as much. It is worth noting the daily rate of deaths is up 30%. Deaths are a lagging indicator, so basically everybody who caught it, a couple weeks ago, is unfortunately succumbing. That's what that figure indicates to us. And the other thing that I just thought was fascinating is that they do genomic testing. When somebody tests positive, they at a hospital or doctor's office or something like that, they then test to see, all right, what kind of variant is this? Right now, Greg, actually as of January 22nd, Greg, 99.9% of all COVID-19 cases in the United States where the variant was genomically identified was Omicron. Delta is now down to 0.1%. Delta is effectively gone. So three fascinating things that one indicate that, so cases are going down, they're going to expect them to go down. Unfortunately, the Omicron variant has probably reached everyone who is vulnerable to it, but we should expect these numbers to go down, and we should, particularly as weather gets warmer, we should be beyond this. Between the sheer number of people who got Omicron. Over the weekend, I noted that we've had about 75 million total cases of COVID-19 in the country. Of those who report them, lots of people test positive on a home test and don't necessarily tell their doctor or the medical, local health officials. So it's an undercount. But if you go by the official numbers, 75 million cases, 25 million of them are from early December. I think December 3rd was the date I was looking at. So you look at that, you're like, wow, 1/3 of all of our cases have been in the last 2 months. That's how contagious Omicron is. It's super duper contagious. But guess what? Everybody's got it, or seemingly everybody's got it, except me. And thus, it's got no more places to jump to. It's got no more new people to infect. The cases are going down, and they're going to continue to go down. I think this aligns well with that poll we saw from Monmouth polling that 70% of the people recognize, we are not 2 weeks away from flattening the curve. We are not, just one more month of masking is going to change this. We got to close the schools. No. This virus is now endemic. And the good news is it's much less threatening, as we saw in the Omicron numbers. But the problem is that, there's no point in nagging someone about, is that a Z95 or is that a Z96 mask or something like that. There's no point in doing any of this stuff. We have now reached the point where everybody's either got it, or they're vaccinated, or they're boosted, or some combination of all those. And if they haven't, and they've chosen not to, they've accepted the risks. And it just kind of feels like the country is ready to move on. My boss, Rich Lowry, has a fascinating column in which he basically argues that it would make a lot of sense for Biden to embrace it's time to go back to normal pre-pandemic life, but he can't, because it looks like in most of these polling, the Democratic Party is split down the middle on whether that is the wise direction to head in.
Not surprising. I was just going to ask, is the 28% teachers union officials and people who run the local schools in Northern Virginia and the greater D.C. area, plus, New York and Chicago and L.A. as well. But it seems like the people who actually tend to make these decisions that affect a lot of lives are the last people to understand what's exactly happening here and are likely to accept the fact that we just do need to get back to reality. But anyway, hopefully they'll see the light soon, Jim, because a lot of people are getting pretty mad at them. Let's move on to our final good martini now, Jim, and this one is going to be pretty short and sweet. We basically knew this back in December when Joe Manchin went on Fox News Sunday, at that point hosted by Brett Baer, and said, I just can't get on with Build Back Better. I'm a no. Therefore, the Democrats couldn't get to 50. Kamala Harris couldn't break the tie. The progressives lit their hair on fire. The White House sent out this message trashing Manchin for allegedly not keeping his word. You know, the best way to win back somebody who's decided not to support your legislation. And so, of course, just like, have you changed your mind on the filibuster? The question for Joe Manchin every day when he walks the halls of Congress is, hey, any progress on Build Back Better? And, of course, it's Manu Raju of CNN who keeps asking the question, which he's perfectly entitled to do. But his tweet today, just after noon, was Senator Joe Manchin, asked about Build Back Better, said, "What Build Back Better bill? I don't know what you guys are talking about." Raju says, "I asked him if he's had any talks on the matter since December. Quote, no. It's dead." So, Jim, we'll see if they try to pick off certain parts of it and try to pass it piecemeal. But, a year ago, we probably would have said there's probably some sort of Manchin wiggle room there. But given how he's actually stayed strong on the filibuster and on the larger Build Back Better bill, as Biden has termed it, I think it's safe to say that at least for this Congress, it's dead.
Greg, this actually has just been handed to me. Much like Francisco Franco, Build Back Better is still dead. We will keep you posted at the 3 Martini Lunch if there are any changes to this. Look, I guess I should give Manu Raju credit for not jumping out of the bushes as, or I guess out of the dock, climbing out from under the dock as Manchin comes in from his houseboat. But look, nothing's changed. There's really no indication of this. And even the administration looks like it's kind of, shifted on to other important issues like the Supreme Court nomination and things like that. So look, until these circumstances surrounding this bill change, I'm not sure it does any good to keep going back to Joe Manchin and saying, okay, all right, have you changed your mind yet? Have you changed your mind yet? Have you changed your mind yet? He's not going to. And he's extremely unlikely to do so between now and Election Day.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. So we'll see. I mean, you got the Arizona Democrats censuring Kyrsten Sinema. You got the other Democrats, trashing Joe Manchin. Bernie Sanders kind of leading the pack on that. And they're going to need all of them on a Supreme Court nominee here and some other legislation I'm sure that they'd like to get done. So, considering them pariahs, that might be another good martini. I don't know if that'll deter them from supporting things they would otherwise like to do because they're being treated like outcasts in their own party. But, hey, if it does, we'll celebrate that every day of the week. So, Jim?
And we may end up doing that, Greg.
We might. So get some chicken noodle soup, take a nice nap, and hopefully you'll be in fighting trim tomorrow. See you then.
Napping? Greg, I'm way ahead of you on that. See you tomorrow, Greg.
See ya. Jim Garrity, National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks so much for being with us today. Do subscribe to the podcast if you don't already. Thank you very much for your 5-star ratings and your kind reviews. Get us on those home devices. All you have to say is play 3 Martini Lunch podcast. Follow us on Twitter. He's at Jim Garrity. I'm at Dateline_DC. Have a great Tuesday, and please join us on Wednesday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.
Hi, it's Dana Lash, host of The Dana Show. Every day, I'm here to keep you up to speed on the most important stories and info that you need to know in your very busy life. And if you're always on the go and you want to stay connected, just download our daily podcast and take it with you. It's a great way to get up to speed on what you need to know and what legacy media may not be telling you. Visit danaradio.com and click on the podcast link or subscribe at iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.